Okay, welcome back. As you can see, there was some issues. Well, there was some issues recording the audio, so I'm narrating this particular episode for now. And yeah, as you can see, we started off by altering the order that the characters were in, and proceeded to well, we needed to find out the word of power and find the what you call it, the horn. So there we have it. As you can see the speed of the playback. This particular segment, there's 6 segments, so each segment's 5 minutes long, but this particular segment is about 2.5 hours long. Sped up to about, so it's all squished into about 5 minutes. And as you can see, that's 27 times the normal playback. It looks like I'm trying to find the horn at the moment. Oh no. I was just trying to find a ship so I could go to start finding the words power in this one. This is the Bell of Courage. This is where we've got the Bell of Courage, so this is the Castle of Courage. And the word of power for this one, or one part of the word of power, was C-O-R, core. Then we proceed to go to the other two castles, not towers, fighting endlessly, seemingly endlessly. And as you can tell, I'm using copyright-free music, and you can see the songs that are appearing up on the bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner. The speed adjustments are all on the bottom left-hand corner. So. Okay, this is where we will learn the other part of Word of Power, which is from the Book of Truth area, or the Castle of Truth, which is the... Oh, I left that in, did I? Oh well. Yeah, I didn't do a very good job at editing this, but that's fine. It'll be fine. You just bear with me while... This shouldn't take too much longer. So, from the Serpent's Hold, we got core. From... I can't remember. It's not Empath Abbey. Empath Abbey is love. So that looked like to be about 10-20 minutes of being away. On to the next song, since it doesn't automatically play for me for whatever reason. Okay, by the time we got here, we got all parts of the word of power, which is Vermicore. From the Empath Abbey, we got MAO. So it's Vermicore, VERAMOCOR. And at the moment, we're just trying to increase everyone's strength with these dungeon runs. And this dungeon is Dungeon Destard, and you can find it at near Trinsic. Oops, I've got to stop bumping my microphone. Well, it's a headset microphone, so from this point forward, it was only the first segment that I didn't record the audio for, so from this segment onwards, we didn't have any audio to begin with because I muted it all. And this is just to show how long it takes just to, I don't know, level up. If you were just to do stuff, this particular segment takes about 6.5 hours. And that's just maximizing everyone's strength to 50. Which is the maximum it can go for whatever reason. So now, of course, I keep adjusting the party order so all the lower level party members are at the front, and you can't change the position of the leader. So Snape has to be the leader at all times. And I did spend a lot of time collecting money from this dungeon. As you can see, level 4 is the one that I used to collect all the chests from. And I went from level 2 to level 8, I think it was. But there are a number of levels I used, with level 2 being only one orb, I think, and level 8, I think. I didn't realize at first. I was only using level 2 and 3 and 4 at first. Then I realized there were more orbs in that dungeon later on. And I was just collecting food, getting herbs. Spending time, fighting and making spells. Get everyone's level up, adjusting everything again. It must have been 2 and 3. But yeah, 6.5 hours to get everyone's strength completely up. As you can tell, I managed to figure out the resurrect spell. Must have been 2 and 3, level 2 and 3, where all the magic orbs were. It was a very long, arduous journey, this one. I mean, this is just like to give you an idea how long this sort of thing takes in this game. Since I was away for half an hour in the first segment, segment was only 2 hours, so we only spent about, what, 8.5 hours to this point, almost. Again, collecting more food, maximizing our food, getting regions. In this segment, we're doing everyone's dexterity. At some point, I believe we died. But that's fine. As you can see, it doesn't take long to get up all the food. I don't know if we died or not. It just... a lot of food gets consumed. And at the moment, what I'm doing here is collecting as much mandrake as I can. So I can do more, create more spells and so forth. Collect food from Scarabray since it's cheaper from Scarabray. Get everyone leveled up again. And here we go for the dungeon run for Dexterity. This one's way more involved. But it also had a lot more orbs in it. I think in level 4, I think it was. I'm not sure. But level 8 had, level 4 had 2 orbs, and level 8 had 3. So it didn't quite take as much time. At the start of the strength, I was trying to get everyone's strength up to 100, starting with the main character, but then I realised eventually that it only went up to 50. That particular spot is a pain in the ass, but you'll find that there's a number of spots, particularly in the next segment. And all I did was, after creating all the up and down spells and exit spells that I might need, resurrect and heal and cure and all that, I'd say you need at least 50 of each of those, but it doesn't hurt to have 99 of them. And yeah, all I did was exit, cured everyone, healed, and a few people, like whoever I'm maximizing dexterity for at the time. Then you know, hold up, rest, then enter the dungeon and go again. With 8,000 food, it's a lot easier. And just to repeat the cycle without having to go to a town, get more food, so forth. After the next segment, I do make a few extra trips to Dungeon Destard just for the gold. Also in the first segment we've got the Silver Horn as well as the 3-part word power. It might have been level 6 and 8. It doesn't matter. Level 8 was the most pain in the ass one. No, I'm pretty sure it was level 4 and level 8. And Dungeon Despise, I think it is. Right? Not Dungeon Despise. Anyway, it's north of Britain, or north of Lord British's castle. And I believe this segment took about 8 hours. Nope. Another about 6.5 hours, so we're up to about 14 hours. And here we go to Dungeon Heidlas. There's a secret entrance underneath it all. This is where we go to, in this segment we actually just collected the, I don't know what you would call it. It's the same thing as going to all the shrines and getting the Avatar Hood, except it's for the 3 principles that lead to the 8 virtues. So truth, love and courage, so we're getting those particular attributes. Now that means using 4 stones at each of the altars of truth, love and courage. The shortcut to the bottom of Dungeon Heidlas is behind Lord British's castle, where there's that locked down at the back of the castle there. You go all the way down there, you get to this area, which can lead to all the other dungeons through. Dungeon Heidlas is to the south, whereas Dungeon Despise, Destard and all that is northeast and west. So all the dungeons are linked at these altars, depending on what attribute they are. And I'll go through that more later on. So at the moment we've just collected truth, I believe. We're on our way to collect courage. Well, we're on our way back through the love altar. No, truth altar. To get to the other 2 altars, because we went to a different dungeon. It took me a while to figure out that on the PC version there's no actual icon on the map for the altars. That's why it took a while for me to find out where it was. What I was mistaking for an altar was the carrot, or the thing that looks like an up arrow. This should be the altar of love, which you use a different set of 4 stones, which again I'll go through at a later date, but you can see what stones are used. We should be going to the courage altar and using yet another 4 stones. An interesting thing about these stones is that for truth, love and courage, there's one virtue that represents them wholly. As for the other virtues, spirituality represents all of them, truth, love and courage, so that's white. Hence white is used for all of them. You never use black because that's humility, and humility isn't associated with any love, truth or courage. Whereas justice is associated with truth and love. And again, I'll go through more on that later. But what we learn from this game, we can take to Ultima 5 and onwards. And here we are at the altar of courage, I believe. Again, anti-courage dungeons are associated with this altar as well. So we leave and we're at Dungeon Heidlas, where there's a balloon. Actual main entrance to Dungeon Heidlas is actually on the Isle of the Great Abyss. And you can't really direct that balloon anywhere except for whichever way the wind goes. So you can cast change wind in order to direct the balloon wherever you go, but that's a pain in the ass when you need to take quick sharp turns. There's a lot of waiting for moon gates at this point, because I'm just travelling around. Even though I've got truth, love and courage, I believe we're trying to get to another dungeon where I need to get a boat. Okay, in this one we head over to Dungeon Despise. I believe we're heading over to Dungeon Despise, which is near Minglo, north of Minglo. It's actually closer to the shrine. Here I'm just trying to figure out where all this stuff is that I need to visit, and evaluating how easy it would be. So we go to level 5, where one of the orbs are. Then we end up at level 8 as well. That's level 3 and 5 by the looks of it. So I went too far. Instead of exiting, I just used the up spell. I'm sorry if this free music is not up to your standards, but without getting slapped with copyrights and so forth. At the moment, as you can see, you probably can't quite see it, I was creating spells using a whole heap of herbs and whatnot. And as you probably can figure, due to the speed multiplier, I didn't spend as much time on this dungeon. And this is to get everyone's intelligence up. I just did it for shits and giggles, even though only a few people needed their intelligence leveled up. But I did it to everyone, mainly for magic spells that the monsters cast, just to help resist those sort of magic spells. Didn't really work as intended, but oh well. And if you haven't figured out, whenever you touch one of these magic balls, you lose 200 health. Well, that's only on these 3 dungeons. Other dungeons you lose anywhere between 400 and 800 health. Of course, it depends on which dungeon you go to. That's why I chose the basic dungeons. But as you can see, this sort of thing takes a very long time. And I hope you guys sort of appreciate this sort of thing. I know, I've been about a 2-week break since my last upload, but 1 week of that was waiting for processing for another video, which I'll do after I do these last few episodes of this game. I died. 'Cause, yeah, 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 Okay, here we have everyone all maxed out, and we should be trying to make our way to the Isle of the Avatar. Here I'm just collecting money. And again, just waiting, using moongates to travel around, since I didn't have a boat. Since I died, the boat sank. And making more spells and trying to find an easy way to get to the Isle of the Avatar. I try to use the Heidlas dungeon to try and get there, but it doesn't work. Because in order to land a balloon anywhere near there, it has to be on grass. And, you know, just plain grass, a plain field. I eventually did find another boat though. Which then I lost it. Which I spent more time, after I lost that boat, I remembered to use the wheel. Once I get a boat, use the wheel, and that increases the health of the boat. And in order to land the balloon, you have to be on a plain grass area, no swamp, no mountainside or anything like that. And if you haven't tell, there's nothing like that around there except around Dungeon Heidlas and other areas around the Isle of the Avatar, which in order to blink you need about 20 spaces between your starting point and the end point, and any point on that island that you try to blink to another point, you can't make it anywhere near where you need to be to enter this dodging abyss. Kind of annoying, because any space to the dungeon abyss is only any area. It's 19 spaces no matter where you try to blink from. And yeah, it's just missing that one, which prevents you from blinking into the area you need to be in to enter the Stygian Abyss. And by the time all of these segments are done, and there's 6 segments, should be close to about 24 hours of video footage. I finally got a boat, and I actually used the wheel on it. And I entered the Stygian Abyss and get to where we left off, and then I'll go into a new segment. But yes, it took about 4 hours to get a boat. It takes about that long. 3 to 4 hours, I would say, typically, just for a boat to appear. Well, at least that's been my experience anyway. Other people have had the whole world flooded with boats, but not so much in this one. Okay, this should be the last segment coming up. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, well, my bad. That will be it, and I'll catch you in the next episode.